In 1908, in the Tongues area of Sibiri, an enormous explosion occurred. Its power is equivalent to the explosion of 500 atomic bombs, or bombs of air, exploding at the same time. Secret about the Tunguska Explosion. For that terrible and strange explosion, scientists have been conducting tireless research for nearly 100 years. But about the cause of the blast, so far, opinions disagreed. Some people said that it was a nuclear explosion. Some say it was just a meteorite or comet that crashed into the Earth that caused the explosion. Some say that the alien spaceship dropped to Earth. Nowadays many people associate it with a series of modern scientific theories such as cosmic black holes, antimatter theory, or homologation. June 20, 1908, at 7:17 a.m., on the banks of the Tongues River in the quiet west of Russia's Sibiri River, when the dawn tinged with pink trees, the morning air was fresh. Suddenly a loud explosion sounded, the sky was a landslide, and the ground shook like a shiver. Next to it is a round mushroom rising slowly, a wave of hot heat rolling over. Just in a moment, the birds in the forest immediately turned into dust. Large trees, or rooted, or burned to charcoal. Thousands of implants in the jungle were destroyed in a moment. The exact coordinates of the location of the explosion are 60 degrees 55 north latitude 101 degrees 57 east. About 800 kilometers from Lake Beacon. After the blast, the nomadic people around the region trembled during the hurricanes. Their tents are flying away. To the south of the center of the 60-kilometer blast there was a town called Vanavara. In the early morning of the explosion, along with the explosion, glass windows of buildings and buildings shattered, door frame, window. Shock shaking shattered. Followed by airwaves from the ground roll up, hurricanes struck, making mini roofs. Trees on the street and in the garden are turned on. After the incident, one farmer recalled, "At that moment I was sitting in the house, the sky suddenly appeared a strong white light, then, the air was warming up. Burned skin, I fell to the ground, the garment on fire. Looking up, a huge flame of red fire in the sky, terrible. Just in a moment, the ball of fire is gone, it's dark again. At that time I heard a loud bang, the body was a little flutter, flicked to a few yards, I fainted. Within a few minutes I awoke, hearing the shrill screams. The house shook slightly, seemed to be uprooting off the ground." In the Tongues region, many places of land and houses shake several days later. Many people in the town of Vanavara are hit by heat waves, trees are destroyed for a while. Just below the explosion, just a reindeer came. After the explosion no survivors. That explosion caused very strong seismic waves. At the center of the blast to 893 kilometers, in the city of Akike, 45 minutes after the blast, still recorded seismic waves. Wave speed reaches 330 meters, g. Shock waves of the explosion spread to Central Europe. The German Doppler earthquake monitoring stations and Cambridge, England's automated facilities, have recorded earthquakes under tremendous shocks, even to the Java Islands of Indonesia and beyond the Earth. In the U.S. capital of Washington also recorded similar shocks. After the Big Bang, all over the world there are natural reactions. In London, the whole of the lights suddenly went out, the people were engulfed in dense darkness. At Shockbulk, many people took the camera and took a strange night. In the Netherlands, at night, but again light up the white light as day. And Americans at night feel the earth shaking. It should be said from the night of June 30th to July 1st, that the sky from West Sibiri to Europe is extremely clear. A strip from Krakow to southern Russia, so bright that it does not have to be lit, but still readable. In the Tongues area, during the 3 days and nights since the explosion, there was no darkness. In those days, people saw the sunlight go through the clouds and cast a strange green light and rose color. At times the clouds also emit silver rays, and the clouds are very clear. Over the next few nights, the sky was much brighter than usual. Gradually until the end of August, the sky returned to normal. At the same time, astronomers observed that the brightness of the atmosphere was greatly reduced, which greatly affected the observation of stars by astronomers. The Kulak Soviet scientist, who conducted fieldwork in the Tunguska area, combined interviews with local residents, did not find the cause of the explosion. The answer is still a secret. As we continue to study later, Kulak finds that the ruined area is the dropping point of a giant jellyfish. The Earth is often attacked by small jelly. As the Earth moves around the Sun, it must crawl through the cosmic rocks. At that time, the cosmic rocks entering the Earth's atmosphere were very fast, usually reaching over 10,000 miles per hour. But since most of them are very small, so when we first arrive at the upper reaches of the atmosphere due to friction with the heat, we look up at the sky at night and see the brilliance moves so fast that it is called stars. Ice. However, occasionally the Earth still encounters large blocks of rock, as it goes into the hot, burning sky. On September 29, 1938, in a garden in the U.S. state of Illinois, a blast of light bursts out, a jagged mass through the rooftops falling right into a car. In 1954, in Alabama, a woman was also hit by jelly. These are the only records of still jellyfish causing casualties in the world. The Tunguska explosion in 1908 heard 600 blasts from a distance. It seemed that all the trees and 50 miles were destroyed. The explosion center is also very easy to identify, because all the trees fall down towards the center. But there is no jelly, there is no jar but only a lagoon. Around the lagoon are smooth dry trees, which although not alive but still exist there and have no branches. It was an important clue. Apparently there was a strong explosion, which led to a large fire, but the fire did not touch the ground, possibly due to a rapid velocity of air, extreme heat hot, straight down from the top, burning all the branches should spill the tree and burn all along the way. What are the causes of these explosions? Explain how conflicts are. So that fire has become an unexplained mystery in the history of the world's astronomy. In 1965, 3 scientists put forth the idea that the large Tunguska explosion was likely caused by an antimatter from the outer universe, a type of antiferromagnet. But that hypothesis cannot be tested. In 1945, the United States bombed the atomic nucleus in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan, at which time scientists first discovered the scene of the Tunguska explosion very similar to the scene after the atomic explosion. At the same time, the physicist of the Soviet Union Alexander Kosatal also discovered. They also found that the destruction in the central area was much smaller than in the surrounding area. Trees that are still standing upright are not a good example. In addition, the Tunguska plant grows and develops rapidly. That is very similar to the situation after the atomic bomb. The animal-like forms of atomic radiation in Hiroshima and Nagasaki were also resembling animals in the Tunguska region after the explosion. Even the mushroom smoke rising after the explosion is very similar. Soviet scientists say that the mushroom smoke produced by the Tunguska explosion is much larger than the mushroom smoke in Hiroshima and Nagasaki because it is seen at a distance. A series of surveys conducted from 1958 onwards have obtained evidence that the Tunguska explosion is a nuclear explosion. Former Soviet Union geophysicists, Soviet and Mikhailin, have repeatedly conducted field surveys. At that point they also detect traces of radioactive material. It also experimentally demonstrated that the radiation residues of biological physics still exist at the scene of the explosion. This also means that the new atomic bombs and bombs contain plutonium-235 and uranium. Meanwhile on Earth, humanity has yet to find 2 types of radioactive elements. So far, the Tunguska explosion that took place in western Siberia in 1908 is still a world secret. Although there are new inferences to be made, any idea that may be the ultimate conclusion has to be devoted to exploration and research by the world scientists. There will be a day, this secret will be studied clearly and have the most reasonable answer.